What's up, everybody? This is Brad, and this is a new and improved video detailing the hobby of collecting sports magazines. So the very first video that I ever posted back in 22 on my channel was actually this exact video. It was posting about the basics of sports magazine collecting. But 2 years later now, quite a bit has changed. My understanding and my feelings toward the hobby have evolved. Time for an updated video to help explain this hobby to new collectors who want to know what it's all about. So maybe you collect sports cards or comics, or you still have a bunch of Sports Illustrated just laying around. Maybe you've seen some of the buzz about this hobby and you want to learn more. This video is going to tell you everything that you need to know. Topics that we're going to cover include the most collectible publications. We're going to talk newsstands versus subscription, cover display and nostalgia, first covers, grading, autographs, and we're going to finish up with sales and investing. Let's do it. Okay, so in the hobby of magazine collecting so far, Sports Illustrated has proven to be king. But there are lots of other publications that still carry major collectability. Playboy and Nintendo Power are two non-sports magazines that have a strong following. Magazine is extremely popular for basketball fans. Time and Newsweek magazine have a great combination of historical, sports, and pop culture covers. And one of the most fun things about this hobby is that you can find some random, lesser known publications with really cool and collectible covers. For example, if you have a nice cover shot of a Hall of Fame athlete very early in their career, such as high school or college, that magazine can sometimes be extremely collectible. A couple examples would be this 1996 issue of the Fan magazine. This was a regional Philadelphia sports magazine. It's a cover of Kobe Bryant before he headed into the NBA draft. 1982 Eastern Basketball magazine featuring a young Michael Jordan on the cover, still in college at North Carolina. Magazine cover that prevalently features a key athlete has the potential for some collectability, especially if it's a highly reputable publication or if it's a cover from very early in that athlete's career. But once again, if you're primarily interested in sports cards or sports magazines, Sports Illustrated so far has proven to be the most collectible and most desirable and most potentially valuable publication. Most important concepts for newcomers in this hobby to understand is that newsstand copies are typically more desirable and valuable for collectors than subscription copies. This rings true for most magazine publications, but is especially the case with Sports Illustrated. Subscription copy, of course, is an issue that was delivered directly to a subscriber's home and had a mailing label either attached or printed on the cover. A newsstand copy is an issue that would have been purchased directly from the newsstand rack and never had a mailing label on the cover. Subscription copies are considered less collectible for two reasons. The mailing label on the cover typically detracts a little bit from the aesthetic and beauty of the cover, especially if it's some random person's name and address. Secondly, the newsstand copies are usually much more rare. For example, in the case of Sports Illustrated, about 96% of their print run in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s were subscription copies. They had a huge subscriber base of over 3 million subscribers at one point, and so almost all of those issues that they were printing had those mailing labels on the cover and were getting sent directly to people's homes. But in addition to the fact that only 4% of the print run was newsstands, you also need to consider the fact that most people consider magazines to be disposable. The majority of them, whether newsstand or subscription, were eventually pitched in the trash. So the combination of a very small print run plus the disposability has led some Sports Illustrated issues to be extremely difficult to find as a newsstand, especially in good condition, which we'll talk more about later. Now, just because the newsstands are the most highly coveted copies, does that automatically mean that all subscription copies are worthless? No, it does not. On condition, a subscription copy will usually only carry about 10 to 25% of the value of a newsstand, but there are a handful of specific covers which are so desirable that even the subscription copies will sometimes go for some pretty good money. The newsstands are often so scarce that the subscription copies are sometimes the only ones that are actually obtainable for collectors. And just to give you an actual illustration of the scarcity of some of these newsstands, consider this. Currently 40,000 graded copies of Michael Jordan's Fleer rookie card from 1986. But when compared to his first Sports Illustrated cover from 1983, there have only been 139 newsstand copies graded since CGC began grading magazines 15 years ago in 2009. 139 versus 40,000. So what is it that makes magazines great to collect? The covers are just flat out cool. Some of them are iconic, and many of them bring back tons of nostalgia. Nintendo Power, Slam, Playboy, Time. Sports Illustrated has been the absolute gold standard for sports publications for the past 70 years. Athletes of all time, you've got the biggest moments. Tons of history are packed onto these covers, and they make for incredible display pieces. While sports cards are typically just randomly manufactured photos, these magazine covers represent a specific moment in time. There's something significant about making the cover of a magazine. The covers tell a story about what was happening in the world at that given point in history. For a minute about first covers. I mentioned the Michael Jordan first cover earlier, so you might have already picked up on this. But when it comes to collectability and potential value, an athlete's first cover is very similar to a rookie card. The time that an athlete appears on a Sports Illustrated cover is often the most desirable. Another distinction to consider with sports cards is that many athletes, especially since the 1980s, have multiple rookie cards. Ultra-modern players might even have over 100 variations of a rookie card. Athletes have only one first Sports Illustrated cover. That can make it feel a little more special. It increases the rarity of owning a first cover for a top athlete. A huge part of the hobby today is magazine grading. Is when you send in an issue to a third-party company, they thoroughly review it, confirm its legitimacy, assign it a grade based on its condition, and they will slab it in a hard case for preservation, protection, and display. This, of course, is the same thing that's very popular with sports cards through companies such as PSA, SGC, and Beckett. Company for magazines is CGC, which is most well known for grading comics since the year 2000. They began grading magazines in 2009, and since that time, there's been over 25,000 Sports Illustrated magazines slabbed, including over 10,000 of those in just the year 2023. You see, a 9.8 is largely considered to be the gold standard. 9.9 or a 10 is possible, but it is extremely rare. In fact, of the over 25,000 Sports Illustrated magazines that have been graded by CGC, there's only been one single 9.9, and there has never been a 10. 7.7% of the submissions that have been received have been given a grade of a 9.8. 9.8 possible grades are 9.6, 9.4, 9.2, and 9.0, going in 0.2 increments. And from there, it goes in 0.5 increments to 8.5, 8.0, 7.5, and so on. I previously mentioned how many magazines are viewed as disposable, leading many copies just being pitched in the trash over the years and creating a lot of scarcity. Well, when you then add in the factor of condition, how many copies are out there without any tears, creases, color breaks, or other flaws? Condition factor through grading brings in even more rarity, and for many of the vintage issues, you'll probably never see a 9.8. Magazines are one of the best possible mediums for collecting autographs. To go along with the awesome covers, these magazines offer a lot more real estate for a signature than some of the other items such as sports cards. In fact, the hobby of collecting autographs on Sports Illustrated goes back way further than the hobby of grading. Options for slabbing autograph magazines such as CGC, Beckett, and CBCS. Within each of those options are multiple pros and cons and various nuances that one would need to be aware of. It requires a bit of a deep dive that I won't detail in this video, so if you're interested in learning more about collecting and slabbing autographed magazines, I've linked another video below in the description. All right, let's be real. Many of you are watching this video because you're interested in the financial aspects. This is the case with sports cards, comics, or other collectibles. Knowing the potential value and considering the possibility of stumbling across a gold mine is always a lot of fun. Is it possible that graded magazines can serve as investments? Yes, it's possible. Predict the future, and how exactly some of these will appreciate is yet to be seen. Look at the growth of sports cards and comics over the years. There's definitely plenty of reason to believe that magazines could also have some of that same potential. No doubt that plenty of collectors have already made significant money off of some of their magazine sales in recent years. To demonstrate this, let's take a look at some of the top sales of graded sports magazines. Just these select few high dollar slabs either. A simple search of past eBay sales shows that in the past 3 months alone, there have been over 1,200 sales with CGC Sports Illustrated in the title. These include a wide variety of newsstand, subscription, high grade, low grade, $20 sales, $500 sales. They're all over the map. Remember, this is just Sports Illustrated. While that is currently the most popular magazine being collected right now, there are tons of other publications and awesome covers that people are grading, buying, and selling. All heard the amazing stories of someone finding a Honus Wagner card in the attic, or a Mickey Mantle card in an old box worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Of this type of find is exhilarating. And that is one of the most fun components of the hobby of collecting magazines. Magazines are practical. Once we got to the 1970s, not many people were still throwing away their sports cards. Is it realistic these days to find a sealed video game, a sealed VHS tape, or even a game-used jersey? With magazines, they are still to this day often viewed as disposable, and there's thousands all over the world just waiting to be discovered. Visit an antique shop, a bookstore, a yard sale, a library, and potentially stumble upon an amazing magazine collectible. Something stowed away in your house right now. And yet, with the facts we've already covered related to newsstand print runs and condition, the high-value magazines are not exactly growing on trees. So the combination of scarcity with the legitimate possibility of still being able to source these in very random places means the hunt is on. Than is still possible with many of these other collectibles out there. And add into that with the amazing covers, the deep history, the incredible nostalgia, the beautiful display, and you can see why this has been the fastest growing sports collectible space over the past couple years. If you were previously unsure what this hobby was all about, I really hope that this video has provided you with a new base knowledge to understand how it works and to determine if this is something you might be interested in. And if it is, please subscribe to this channel and feel free to check out my listing of several hundred other videos related to the hobby. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, I'll see you next time.